It would send an unbelievably, terrible signal to reformers across the region. It would say we've abandoned our desire to change the conditions that create terror. It would give the terrorists a safe haven from which to launch attacks. It would embolden Iran. It would embolden extremists. No, we're not leaving.
We got bad news. Iran's emboldened.
President Bush not mincing any words yesterday about an issue that could decide many political races this fall, the war in Iraq. It will not be over, according to the president, by election time.
Kansas Senator Sam Brownback joins us from Topeka, Kansas. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you. It's good to join you.
It's great to have you here this morning. The president yesterday took the same hard line that he's been taking for a long time, and that's the basic fundamental belief on his part that Islamic fascism, or whatever you want to call it, Islamic radicalism, is a force that needs to be reckoned with in the world, and that he's not going to back down in doing it. Some say that his strategy or his tactics have fallen short. What do you think?
Well, I think he's on the right track, and I also think that this is probably the only route that we can go at this point in time. What we're trying to do is to get the Iraqis built up to be able to defend their own country, to be able to pull our troops back from the front line. They're probably going to be in Iraq for some period of time, and to get some semblance of a stable, somewhat democratic Iraq established in the middle of the Middle East. And this is a long-term strategy. It's a difficult strategy. I think it's probably the only strategy that we can do to make this work.
Senator, your colleague in the Senate, esteemed senator from Nebraska, the state to the north of your home state of Kansas, Chuck Hagel, said over the weekend that politicians in his party, your party, and the Democrat Party are using saying essentially that politics are hurting national security. How do you feel about that comment?
Well, we used to say that politics ended at the water's front, and we didn't go past that. And I think what you're seeing now is a clear intrusion of politics into the war issue in Iraq. And I think it's a bad thing for the country. I think it's a bad thing for politics. I think it's a bad thing for the war on terrorism. We all voted together to go into this, Republicans and Democrats. Now we're at a very tough stage of this. Mm-hmm. And what do you do at this point in time? I think it's legitimate to talk what you do at this point in time, but not that you pull out of it at this point in time and really leave Iraq in a mess.
Syria and Iran. If it wasn't for those countries meddling, there's a great argument that they would not have half the problems that would be in Iraq right now. What would you do that hasn't been done yet?
Well, that's a great question because they are meddling in that region. You're seeing them harbor terrorists in Syria, in Iran. Iran is the lead sponsor of terrorism around the world and is now seeking some form of nuclear capacity, probably nuclear weapons, to be able to have as a threat in the region. I think what you have to do on each of those is confront them multilaterally, work in the international community, to try to thwart their efforts, both by the Syrians to allow the terrorists to pass through and to spread in the region, and the Iranians to try to contain them from further spread of terrorism and their development of nuclear weaponry.
All right, very good. Joining us from the studios of WIBW in Topeka, Senator Sam Brownback. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.